welcome to Bridging the Realm. This is yet another session of the Life After Death Summit. It's been quite something for the last few days with all the interview. I really hope that you managed to catch at least some of them. There was some really incredible information, wisdom, and also comfort provided by all of my incredible guests who have been with me so far, which I'm really, really thankful for. And thank you guys for watching and tuning in and for all of your comments and support. It's really appreciated. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of us are now starting to see how how important this is, how important it is for us to speak about this topic surrounding death, preparing for death, the fear around death, and really what happens after death, what happens when souls cross over to the other side. Especially with this year 2020, this has been such a crucial thing to really try to understand from a different perspective. And I think we can all begin to see now that it's there's a lot more to the story than we have been told. And so with that, I invite you all to please share the space with us if you are watching live. I really appreciate any comments or questions that you may have for my guest today. And also please do share this video with anyone that you think might find it comforting or helpful in any way. And also, if you'd like to support this channel and see more such interviews, all the information is in the description below of how you can do that. So I'd like to present to you our topic for today, which is really, of course, after speaking about death, it's natural to talk also about grief and how we deal with grief. And the story that you're going to hear today is really one of a kind, and is one which really stands as a pillar of light for so many people, and really provides hope that we can transform grief, and grief doesn't have to be so traumatic and painful. It really can be transformed and transmuted with the power of love, and with us just being open to what else is out there, to different perspectives of life and death. So with that, I will present to you my incredible guest, which I'm honored to have with me today, Hannah Velten. And for anyone who hasn't seen her story or heard about her story, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction to tell you a bit of the background before we get into this. So Hannah Velten is a grief healer, a writer, a speaker who is on a mission to heal and transform grief in the world. She's also the founder of online grief community called Raise, which is on a mission to guide people through a grief healing ritual that truly heals and transforms their grief and their life. She works alongside her brother in spirit called Christian, who went missing in Mali, Africa in 2003, while on a solo expedition to follow in the footsteps of the Scottish explorer Mungo Park. And for 12 years, Hannah and her family had no news of Christian's disappearance, after which Hannah suffered an ambiguous loss and complicated grief disorder. She really tried to balance her life, her family life, with work, and with also trying to find any signs of Christian, her brother. In 2015, however, she was forced to confront Christian's disappearance and his absence, following what some people may refer to as dark night of the soul, where she experienced a spiritual awakening in which she gradually was guided to heal and transform herself and to become whole again. Her intuition told her that she would find her sibling, but at this point she had no idea how this would happen after several attempts to find him through social media. And in May 2018, finally, the truth of Christian's death came out and was revealed, where Hannah managed to connect with Christian, but it was through spirit. So she managed to communicate with him in spirit, and Christian was referred to as an earthbound spirit at this point, where Hannah was able to finally retrieve his missing pieces from Africa and allow him and her to heal together through their grief, and at this point connecting through spirit. This culminated into Hannah retracing Christian's final steps and weeks in Africa using trance mediumship, which she has detailedly videoed and recorded, which can be found, all of the videos which can be found on her Facebook and YouTube, which is just an absolutely incredible journey. And for anyone dealing through grief or going through grief or just wanting to find out more about what happens in life after death, it's a really, really incredible story to look at, and I couldn't recommend that enough for people to tune into. And Christian, after coming together and managing to work in spirit, Christian and Hannah finally managed to get some closure, and now they are still working together. And Christian is part of Hannah's spirit team, helping others to find wholeness and peace after loss by inspiring and empowering grievers and their loved ones in spirit through a grief healing ritual that truly heals and transforms their lives. And most of her one-to-one healing sessions involve difficult deaths, such as unresolved, mysterious, or sudden troubled spirits. But she's also being guided to now share her healing journey in these times of COVID-19 and global grief. And she has also written a book with Christian called Lost and Found, which is available online. And she's also comprised the emergency grief kit in Raise, where people can find that again online on her online channel. And if you want to get in touch with her, all the information is below in the description. So feel free to check out any of her work. So Hannah, thank you so much for bearing with me and for joining me in this incredible journey that's been so far. I'm really honored to have you with me today. And yeah, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Leslie. You've done a brilliant précis of the story, because it spanned so many years and so much happened that I didn't want to start talking about it, because I'd have gone off on a journey myself. So thank you very much, and I'm very honoured to be here and part of this brilliant summit. It's such an important topic, and it felt like a really like light and loving thing to be part of. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I just want to say I really commend you for your bravery and your courage for doing this. I've never, like I said before, I've never seen any story like this before, and I know people will also be able to relate in so many ways. But it really stands as this, I think, sort of like a lighthouse. I think Christian even called it in one of the videos that you've channeled before. And it really is such an amazing example of how grief can be transformed and transmuted. So yeah, thank you for doing that on behalf of so many people. I know I can say.
That's a pleasure. I mean, I have to say, this year, during the COVID, because I haven't been able to do, we all haven't been able to do what we normally do. So I have actually taken a lot of time this year to overcome all my fears about speaking about this and speaking about it on a bigger scale, and realizing the scale now. I mean, Christian and I, our healing journey, I did it for us and I did it for my family. Yeah. But it's gone from such a private healing, and I can now see why we went through this, because everyone can relate to this now in some way. When Christian went missing, it's the kind of feelings that people have now. And obviously I've gone through all the journey now, Christian's gone through his journey, and we're ready now to speak. But yeah, it's taken me a good 6 months. Some people might be watching now who know me through the work I've been doing this year, to really be able to speak about this without feeling icky.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a journey. It's definitely a journey, but I mean, it's incredible that people can actually see your whole journey from the very beginning until now. And you contacting and beginning to communicate with Christian and teaching yourself how to be a medium and to channel messages. It's been just so interesting, and I honestly see like the future of our society, kind of people being able to heal their grief through doing what you've pretty much done. So it's such an amazing example.
Yeah, there's a really important point actually, which watching some of the summit over the last couple of days, is this idea that I mean, I don't have a woo-woo background at all. Okay, absolutely nothing. If you'd known me even 5 years ago, you wouldn't even believe that I would be doing any of this. Okay, so this is not, you know, we all have it within us, this the intuition, we have the ability to heal grief and to work through our challenges. So I'm not unusual in that, I don't think. And you're right, it was all very private, all the meditations I started to do, because I knew I had to heal my grief. I mean, I was ill, I was really ill, and I had no role model. When you have a missing family person, like there aren't good role models to be able to heal, because you have the hope that they're always going to turn up. So you're always in denial, you're always in anticipatory grief. So I didn't really have a role model, which is what I would like to be now for people. This, you know, this is why I have to do this work, because I didn't have a possibility role model, you know. It was so it was all very private, the work that we did together, Christian and I, as we gradually kind of realized what was going on. And then, yes, I then started filming them, and I was constantly being told I had to film things, and I didn't realize at the time, because you never realize at the time. But with hindsight, I have a whole, you know, the whole story is was filmed on live Facebooks, or Facebook Live. So I've now put them all 30 films onto the YouTube channel, so you can see. I mean, it's like as it happens, my confusion, my tears, my you know, the healing that's going on. It's all there to
totally. And which is what makes it so beautiful, is that it is so raw, and so, you know, you don't have any light or like professional camera, you know, which is what you would expect from a kind of a, I guess, normal film. But that's what makes it so beautiful and so authentic. And I think people can really see that when they watch it, and you really you can really just feel the emotions that are coming through, and can really relate to a lot of what you're being said. Because I know personally, from obviously losing someone, I can certainly relate to so many of the things that you were saying, and the confusion, and kind of crying 1 minute and then laughing the next minute, and, you know, this kind of just whirlwind of emotions everywhere. So yeah, it's really, really, I mean, I wish I had something like this when I was going through my own grief, like 5-6 years ago, of losing someone. So I know a lot of people find it so helpful. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
That's amazing. Thank
you. Right, you can already feel the energy. It's like all the spirits going through and everything. So yeah, it's nice that we're having the support from the other side. But yeah, so I have a few questions to start off, and then we can just kind of go with the flow. I'm sure people will also have questions and want to know more. But one of the main things that I guess I want to ask is, how has your opinion of death in grieving changed from before the whole event, before finding Christian, to now working with him? Has your opinion shifted of what death is, what grief is?
Okay, that's a big question. I'll try and answer as much as I can.
Yeah, sorry to
So I mean, I can only really talk from my experiences. I don't really want to talk about client experiences particularly. If it feels relevant, then I'll mention things. But I think we have, especially when, I think you were talking yesterday about a good death and like a bad death, and a good grief and a bad grief. I think in my experience, and the people that I work with, we have bad deaths and we have bad grief. You know, if I look back to Christian's death was not a good death. He was drugged and he was unconscious as he drowned. So he didn't know that he was dead. So he was earthbound for several reasons. A lot of the people or the spirits that are brought to me, they want to work through things. They want to explain, they want to apologize, they want to tell the story, you know, they want to kind of have a completion, they want the missing pieces, they want to make themselves whole again, as well as the situation and their love. You know, so a bad death is almost like the love is just stuck, that love connection that you have that carries on after death. There's gunk in the channel almost. That to me is the essence of a bad death, and that really kind of leads to a bad grief, in that can't let this love out, and it's stuck, and you don't know what to do with it. And I think we're quite death illiterate, and we're quite grief illiterate in the Western world. I mean, it's getting better. It's getting better. There is, we're doing things like this. We're talking about doing summits and things. So there is a difference, but I think we just don't want to face death. We're scared of the unknown. We're scared of what our emotions we're going to unleash. I get loads of people, and with myself, I was in denial. I didn't want to admit that Christian was dead. If anybody told me that, well, do you know what, Christian's probably dead, I'd be like, no, don't want to hear that, thank you very much. We'll just, you just don't want to face it, and it's chaotic. We all want harmony and completion and order in our lives, and we're so, if you don't want to face a grief, or you don't want to face something, you work really hard to try and make sense of stuff, or you block it out, or we have so many coping strategies. And I think I definitely coped, and I made myself ill coping, and my my emotions.
Sorry, say that again. I think.
Oh, are you there? Sorry, I think so just having just like coping takes so much energy, and it is so hard to keep things repressed, to keep your feelings under control. The joy goes out of your life. You stop dancing, you stop singing, when actually, so that was how I would see grief and death before this. But having worked through the process and allowed my grief to come out, allowing the emotions to flow, finding truth, finding clarity, understanding, forgiveness, all of that. I mean, I actually find it quite difficult to contain myself when somebody comes to see me to heal, because I'm like, I am so excited. Spirit are so excited, because wow, you're going to transform your life.
Yeah, completely.
Like really, and I can feel it now. It's like coursing through. It's this and I like what you said about, we have to be, we're the light. Christian always says we're like the pillar of light, because it is true. You can find trust again in life, you can find joy, you can find purpose, and it's just, it takes a lot of courage. I know, I understand that. It took me 12 years to even begin to face grief and what, to start healing and transforming. And I went in with a certain amount of trepidation. I didn't know what was going to happen. And actually through the whole bit of my healing and transformation, I really didn't know what was happening. So I had to really trust in the process. But I think, grief, we are all going to die. We all have to face death. We are all going to grieve. So why don't we, have a look at it face on? And use a grief right, which can, it's like totally transforms your life. You don't need to be in grief. You choose to be in grief. I really do believe that, and that's our story, is really all about choosing not to be in grief and choosing to find a resolution, trying to find completion. And because I couldn't find that in the physical, I couldn't find my brother, couldn't find the answers, couldn't find, and then you're brick wall all the time, and that's when love really does get stuck and it stagnates, and you kind of, I always see it as you stop walking, you stop moving, your life just is difficult.
Drains the life force out of you completely, doesn't it?
But actually what you need to do is to walk, to move, to get everything up and face it, and to let that love be shining, because you keep the heart connection, it's always there. The heart connection is always there. The physical connection, I still have an energetic, a bit of an energetic connection with Christian, but I used to have a lot. I mean, it was an awful lot, but that kind of has gradually gone, that you're, as he's become whole, and and as he's moved on, and the kind of as my layers have been shed to find the real me, his layers have also shed, so he's like an essence now of himself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
so it's like you both kind of transformed in a parallel way through both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way it happened was we definitely healed and transformed together. Our paths were, because I had to love myself, trust myself, and realize what I could do.
Yeah.
Then I could find him and help him. So then we kind of healed together and transformed together, and that's the kind of path that we help other people do with their loved ones, because if you do the pathway together, it's a lot more fun, it's a lot more magic, and it's a lot easier. And then when you're both healed, and the love is freely flowing, then you can, that old saying is, if you love someone, let them go. It's very true in spirit. When I first sort of thought about Christian ever properly moving on, fully moving on, I was always had that pain in my stomach. I mean, I'm sure everyone will know that gut feeling of no, don't go. But actually, when you're healed and you're full and that love is flowing, it's easy to let go. It just kind of gradually goes, and then he's always around. If I need him, he pops back. We work together, so it's just it's like we're both free. There's no grabbing for each other anymore.
Do you think it's kind of because your own perspective shifted in terms of what it means to have that connection, and in a way that you never lose that connection with him? He's always kind of in spirit, so you can contact him at any point, I guess, but obviously he still has to do his own thing.
Yeah, it's funny actually. We talk about this quite a lot, because so Christian in his life was really good with children. He was really good with children, and he now works with children in spirit. He was kind of needed back in spirit in a lot of ways, and he works with sort of young spirits. But I've lost my thread now, but the sort of connection has definitely we have a much better relationship now than we did as brother and sister, because there was a lot of mistrust. I won't go into the details now, but there was a lot of mistrust between us. We spent our childhood like peas in a pod together, and then through school and what have you, different schools, and there was a lot of mistrust, which is a big problem, in relationships. Especially when somebody dies, it's that whole mistrust comes up again. But yeah, we worked through so much about our his death, obviously. Then you sort of go past the death to childhood things. You then go into ancestral things. You go into past lives. There's a whole full healing thing that we've done. But yeah, we get on. We're much closer than we were, and he is also very. I'm very aware that he's part of my life and my family's life. I've got 2 children who they never met, Uncle Christian, but he's massively part of their lives. I won't go into details, but he interacts with.
He shows him, in a way, in with signs, I guess. Signs.
The children. I won't go into details, but yes, he's very much their uncle, and he can be a better uncle in many ways, because he can always see what's going on.
And he can always see what's going on. Yeah, exactly. And that's
and the same with any ancestors. Actually, it's not just you have a whole line of ancestors and spirit guides, and if you really could experience, I think if you're watching this thinking I'm not sure about any of this, I mean, if you could experience because I would have been the same. I'd been watching this going, she's just mad, she's just deluded. But until you experience it, like you open yourself up and you really experience this, that's when you know it's real, and you know how supported you are. Like, we're all so supportive, and to to not access that is a real shame.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole, it's so exciting, it's so magical.
No, completely. I completely agree. And this has been something that's come out in all the interviews I've done so far, is that we are always supported in the spiritual side, always. Even if you feel like you don't have anyone physically on the spiritual side, they're literally like, come on, pay us attention, give us some attention. It's so exciting.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Which is really nice. And I think, the more you open up to these things, the more they give you signs and synchronicities, and then it's like this, you develop this connection. It's almost like this flowing connection that's like, oh, okay, now I understand, how it works.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
But we do have we have so much resistance to, you've been talking about the sort of analytical brain and the ego, and we've got so much resistance to letting ourselves, like, stepping out of our own way.
Yeah.
I was guilty of that for so many years, so I know. Yeah. We all are, until we're completely on the floor almost, and we have to ask for help because we don't have anywhere else to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I would like people not to be so desperate to sort of start asking for help, and to just I mean, you do need support. I think you've talked about this in the summit. You do need to be supported in this work as well. And I mean, the first step is really it's balancing yourself and the self-love. Like, you need to be strong to be able to do this work, and to do it safely. Which I wasn't at the beginning, and I learned a lot of lessons. So
it's always that way, isn't it? There's no way around it.
Yeah. So it's definitely starting with yourself, and then it's you're strong enough and safe enough to explore other things.
I'm curious to know, did you before you kind of went into the mediumship side, did you ever try to see a counselor or a grief therapist or something? Did you go down that route?
No. So Christian went missing in 2003, and at the time I was offered a police liaison person, and I was like, what are you gonna, I didn't really understand what they were going to be able to do for me, and I was in shock. Like, I look back now, I was frozen, absolutely frozen. I couldn't mentally, I just couldn't process the fact that Christian had disappeared. I mean, we all knew it was a crazy kind of adventure he'd gone on, which was so dangerous. We told him all this all the way through, but he was adamant he was doing it. So I didn't have. So I had sort of a police liaison, and I just kind of tried to get on with life. And I think a lot of people do, especially if you have a sudden death, and you have dependents. I didn't have children at the time, but and I think if you're busy, if you just keep busy, especially when you've got somebody missing, you just keep busy because there's the only thing you can do. And I don't know, I was just frozen. And I just carried on until I became a writer in residence, actually, of a funeral company. And I had a whole year writing about different aspects of the funeral company. Like, the perfect job I was given, it came out of the blue, and I was like, oh, okay. And then as the year went on, I was thinking, oh, okay, I know why I'm here. I've got to face my grief. And that was kind of where it started. So actually, that's quite interesting. You will be, if you're being asked to really heal and transform your grief, you will get big pushes. You will get big nudges, and they'll keep being nudges and pushes, because spirit knows what you're capable of. They know what your kind of purpose is, and your soul is kind of helping along as well. You came here onto this life, to earth, to accomplish something, to learn something, to grow, to expand. You're not supposed to be stagnant and not living life, you know.
No, yeah, I completely agree. And even though some of these unpleasant experiences, as what we might see them at the time, overall on the ground scale, when you look back, you can really see how these were all breadcrumbs that were kind of leading you to your purpose or to what you're supposed to be doing here. So
Absolutely.
I think that's very telling. Yeah.
Yeah. And but that's, I mean, again, if you'd said that to me when I was in my grief, I'd have gone, yeah,
yeah, just yeah.
And I'd probably switched you off right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but it's like it's all hindsight, you know, and that's why we're doing this as we're doing, you know. Now we've experienced something, and we can see the benefit of it, and how to help people get through it, and we just want to like show that it's possible, and to open the conversation up, and to really encourage people, I guess, to have the courage and to really take that leap.
Yes, completely. I completely agree with that. And yeah, it's so important, like you said, to just continue to grow and to expand, because yeah, we are here as spirits experiencing this life and learning, and you know, it's like how some people say it's like an educational school for us, right? It's just to expand and grow. But yeah, I'm interested to know, in the beginning, when you were first starting, you know, to do the channeling, which you've just brilliantly, you know, recorded on your videos, and it's so interesting to see how you're beginning to do this and how you're teaching yourself how to do this, and you know, all the doubts that you have, you talk about, which is just so real, and I can completely relate to that as someone like who's like very logical and rational minded. It's like, is this really real? How well, did you have any people who were kind of just saying to you, you know, just this is crazy, you know, what are you doing? Did you have any kind of backlash from people, either your family or friends?
Oh, Desi, yeah. Everybody told me I was mad. Everyone told me it was crazy what I was doing, that it was dangerous, that I was going to damage my family, damage myself, damage my, you know, that I shouldn't be. Oh, and you know, when you start asking for money for doing this service, shouldn't be charging money. But I mean, I swear to God, anything that could have been thrown at me was thrown at me. Especially, so Christian, we found out about Christian, or I found about him, and he found out himself that he was dead, because he didn't know he was dead. That's part of the thing about being earthbound. But again, that's another long story. But oh my goodness, if I could have, so many times I just sat there and went, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to become a plumber, because this is too difficult. It's too difficult. There was so much against me. But I got to the point where I knew who my spirit guides were. I had Christian. I had lots of supporters, actually. You know, when you're really up against it, you will always get radiators who come and help you. You know, there's lots of drains in this world, you know, people and situations, and you know, the ones that suck your energy away. Oh my goodness, there are so many radiators who give you that energy. And I had an amazing one lady in particular, amazing friend, who just kind of scooped me up, and we helped each other. Actually, it was a mutual thing. But yeah, I became very aware of who my real friends were. Not real friends, because it was just frightening. Nobody understood what was going on. So, you know, there were supporters there, but I got a lot of not an easy path, but it's worth it in the end, because so now I've done the sort of healing, and now it's all kind of I mean, you never stop learning, there's not a completion to it. I must talk about the camera cards at some point, but yeah, like me accepting Christian and sort of telling my family and the story and to friends, and it's really rippled out to other people. You know, my family have been able to start doing their proper grieving and healing. So it's almost like you allow, by doing what I've done, I've allowed other people to also start the grieving process. I mean, you know, a lot of them are probably through that now, but by you healing,
it's kind of like you're giving them permission, isn't it? You're giving them
yeah,
permission for their own grief.
and it really does, you know, the way we've been shown. I mean, I say it's our way, but it's not. It's the way we've been shown how to heal and transform. It really has rippled right through the ancestors. It's rippled through past lives. It's cleared so much, and it's now cleared for my children and future generations as well. So by you being that, it's almost like you're the black sheep of the family, as it were, and you take this role on. And everyone's going, oh, you're so strange, you're so weird, you're blah, blah. But actually, you're kind of doing it for yourself and for them and for the future generations. So yeah, I see it as a privilege, actually. Now I've gone through it. I would never have said that at the time, but I do see it as a privilege now, and I see it as a privilege to be able to help people now as well. So.
Oh, yes, totally. And I think, yeah, you nailed it with this idea that it's not just for us, you know, when we heal our own grief and learn more about what happens after death, we're also healing a whole generation of people, of ancestors who were, well, who some of which might even still be stuck, you know, in the afterlife, might not be able to move on because they've had so many traumas and issues that they've been going through themselves. So you're healing just a whole section of people. So yeah, that's another reason why I think it's so important to just open ourselves up to this whole other spiritual world and really learn what it's all about, and just get rid of this material idea that we just disappear once we're dead and that's it. It's just complete BS, and I can't believe people actually still believe that. And I know I say that very in a disrespectful way, but it's just time that we just get rid of that idea. It's come on, it's 2020 now, so yeah. Too much.
But actually, with this whole COVID, it's really brought up. I think people I was sort of talking about earlier about being triggered by things. COVID has been such a massive trigger for people who have been, like I was, kind of in denial, working along. I think I've done my grief. I mean, I cried a lot and I did a lot of, you know, I expressed a lot. But actually, COVID has really brought up, you know, you're separated from your friends, you're maybe not able to go to the gym all the time, like you might have had an addiction, you might not be able to go shopping all the time, that kind of covering up behavior. And it's really brought up these really, what is still not healed, what is still missing from you, what is still missing in spirit. It's like, wake up, I'm going to prod you and prod you and prod you, and if you don't wake up, you know, this time has been really, I've seen so much of that.
Yeah, which is in a way, again, it's like the good thing that you don't necessarily see straight away, but in the long term, we will get to appreciate why.
Yeah. And I, you know, this time is really important. Like this summit, it's such an important time now to be able to start. And this is only the beginning. I see it really as a beginning. It's we need to have a really big shift on Earth in the collective, in the way we think about death, grief, fear. You know, we just need that. We need a massive shift. And I think a lot of us have had our dark night of the soul in the last year, and that is only a good thing. From me in my position now, that I can see it, it's only a good thing, as long as people grab hold of the opportunity and really work with it.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, really well said, really well put. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think this year has definitely highlighted that we need to really address this issue surrounding death and anxiety and the fear and everything else that comes along with that. But right, let's I wanted to ask a little bit more about your relationship with Christian and kind of how it developed. And I know from watching some of the videos, you were kind of saying, you know, he obviously had a very big personality, and you know, in that seemed to still continue on even after his death. And I remember you mentioning some of the videos, he wants to say all these things, but he's not allowed because, it's like too much information at the same time. So
yeah.
So what was that? Yeah.
So when Christian first came, it's a bit difficult to explain. I don't want to give too much detail because it's so involved. But when I finally returned the spirit of Christian from Africa, he came back as 27-year-old Christian. Like, he was so glad to be home. He was just so excited. He was energetically there. He was just like it was just like he'd sort of passed. He was back where he should be. He was just Christian. He was just my brother. We're only 14 months apart, so I say little brother, but he was massive, much taller than I am. But we were dancing. He has a real dancing energy. It's turned a bit more into sort of tribal energy dancing, but that's still there. And he wanted to go and see friends. He wanted to go, and so I went to see his best friend, and I went to, I had to go and do these things with him. And then it carried on that he wanted me to go with him to Africa to find his missing camera cards and to tell the story, to find out what actually happened to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to Africa. I'm like, and he's going, no, it's safe, it'll be fine. Which actually then worked out, you'll see it in the films, it was actually that I was going to do trance mediumship. And I didn't know what trance mediumship was at that point. I didn't know really what I was being asked to do, but I trusted it. I trusted Christian, and I trusted the guides that had come in. So I did, you could watch the films, and it's there. But Christian, at that time when we were doing the trance mediumship, he was really explaining him. It was like everything that he'd wanted to say, everything that he'd wanted to give me, everything he'd wanted to explain, he was able to do. I spend a lot of the time, quite a bit of the time in tears, which are his tears, because he was so relieved and so happy and thanked me all the time for what I was doing for him, because he was healing and he was becoming whole, and he was like clearing out his gunk. So once he was then able to be, so once we'd kind of done everything that we could, at that point, he kind of, his energy. So I remember the last time when I really felt a really strong grief was, I was just driving in the car, and I felt him in the passenger seat next to me, but it was almost like he was saying goodbye to the energetic at that point, because I started to cry, and I was like, oh my God, you're leaving energetically, you're leaving me now. And then once it kind of happened, I was like, okay, that's all right, because that was the last kind of earth connection that he had, because he was free enough to now go up to the astral plane properly. He was, or wherever, he was free to leave, and I was okay. It was okay to leave me now.
You were both healed in
he'd done what he needed to do, but so he could go to the place where he should be, where he's now doing his own work. He comes back when needed. And so because we never got his body, there was always that thing about how to, and actually this is quite relevant now, isn't it, that like in COVID, where you maybe can't be at the hospital, or you don't see your loved one's body, or you don't say goodbye to them, you don't feel you've said goodbye to them properly. And that's the situation that Christian and I had. But I looked into, I was led a lot into the indigenous beliefs and like ancient rituals and things. And I found lots of these burial rituals where they would just leave bodies out for the birds or in the river, and the bodies just return to earth. They become, they become in the natural cycle of life, and that really helped me on the body issue. That Christian was just recycled, and I kind of knew enough at that time that he wasn't his body, and so I had that sort of physical side, then I had the energetic side, and once that had gone, I actually felt so much freer, because I wasn't carrying that weight as well. If that makes sense. So there is a gradual and the sort of essence. Now he's like an essence. He's a lot wiser. He's soul Christian now. He's not my 27-year-old brother. He's kind of like been incorporated into his soul, all his past lives, and so he's a lot wiser now.
Wow.
But he's still my brother. There's still aspects that he'll come in, he sends lots of music, and he's still got that fun side. He's still larger than life in a lot of ways, but it's just a different, and I've grown as well. We've all grown up and changed, and it's all good. It's a great relationship.
Yeah, wow, that's so fascinating to hear how for both of you it's been such a tremendous change in in your own life, and also him as a spirit. But that totally makes sense to me from what I've heard. What happens to the spirit after their death, and once they kind of come to closure with everything here, and they feel at peace, and they kind of move on to other levels and other things that they're supposed to be doing, I guess, in the spirit world. So that's really nice to hear that he's also had that relief to move on. But yeah, like you said, he's still there, but only in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, just a different. It's like he used to be much closer, I guess. If that makes sense.
And then you could feel more. Was it like a different feeling that he had when he was around you, and was it like a denser sort of feeling?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I meant. Sorry, that's what I kind of meant about the energetic. He was always very solid. I couldn't see him, but I could feel him. Now he sits. If you watch, if you watch the films of us, he's very present. I mean, he's sitting right by my left-hand side usually. Now he's kind of in my heart on the left-hand side. So there's not the energetic trace, I guess, has moved on. But if I'm doing work with if I'm doing one-to-one with people, I will often get energetics come in, so they're still very close to earth, and other times I'll just see or hear, so like visually, which to me would mean they're further away, they're not quite as close, but the heart connection means that you have that clarity wherever they are. Once you've got the heart connection clear, it doesn't matter. It's a bit difficult to explain that. It's like it's spaceless and timeless, isn't it? I mean, it's so it's a bit of a difficult concept, but the heart connection is what you stay where, whatever level or whatever dimension they're in. The heart connection, that's what you really need, and that's what is the healing. That's the healing, is to have that heart connection and the free flow of love, giving and receiving love.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And in terms of the chakra system, that's also, they always say the heart chakra is the chakra that connects us to everything else around us, so everyone else. So that makes a lot of sense that that's how you've experienced it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what are some of the biggest sort of I guess not shocking truths, but insights that you've gained so far from working with Christian and working with someone who is on the spirit world, and in such a close proximity with you? Are there any specific things that really stood out to you and just made you have a different perspective on?
I guess I mean, I'm hearing in my head now, it's like loss is an illusion. You don't lose them. I'm just seeing if there's anything coming through that's quite quiet, actually, because I'm probably channeling at the moment because I haven't really ummed and ahed at all. I've just kind of carried on. But
speaking problem.
Yeah, and actually, when I've now stopped to think, is anyone here? It's now gone. Now I can't speak. So, shocking things. I don't know. I think it's just that it's there is this other complete world that we kind of ignore. We just go through our lives like this. And I always see it like you're looking at the ground, walking along, looking at the ground, and that's what you notice. But if you were to look up, or you've got, oh, this drives me mad. People go for a walk with their earphones in. Well, they go, it's like you're in your own little world of listening to what somebody else is feeding you. Like you're listening to, I don't know, somebody's podcast. You're not
to everything else around you, like the horse with the
blinkers, and you're not. There's a whole world within you, and kind of around you, and it's just look up, look about, take your earphones out. Don't walk with others. Just go on your own. And I think it's more a shock. I suppose on reflection, it's more a shock of what we're missing and what other people are missing. Now I can see it, and it's almost like once you've opened the door, you can't close it again.
It's like Pandora's box. It's like once it's open,
but it's I think I said earlier, it's very difficult. I have to really contain myself when because I do like discovery calls with people, so they can ring me and chat for half an hour, whatever, and I find it really difficult not to get this is so exciting. This is
coming through, isn't it? There's so much that they want to say from the other side that and you're able to translate it all. So
just that it's maybe the shock that we are also blind to it, and I was
it was everyone, I guess, coming from this kind of more material normal world, that we call it, and going into that, because I personally, honestly, I don't know how I would have coped without going to see a medium and learning that my loved one is still there and I can still speak to them in a way. And I don't know how people cope otherwise. I really don't see how they cope, and I feel so sorry for people who have not found this, who have not opened themselves up to this field, because it's really traumatizing,
isn't it? Because I mean, earlier this year, I well, in fact, actually, for quite a few years, I've been knocking on lots of doors to like traditional sort of grief communities and things like that, and they don't want to know.
It's crazy, isn't it?
God. You're just strange. I'm going to just people don't want to hear that, and it's almost like it's too good to be true. You're leading people on. And I used to get so upset and frustrated about it. And then I was always told by Spirit, and I'm still always told now, like, just stand up and tell your story, be the light. Don't knock on any more doors. It's like when I was searching for Christian, I was knocking on all the doors, I was fighting, I was trying to get hold of him. And what worked was to step back, to search for him within, like to go within, and just to be the light and to be the love and attract him in, and that's really what I'm being asked to do now, is to do that, and to draw people who are ready and need to hear, hear the story, hear me, get attracted in. So it's almost, that's the wrong way to do it, is to knock on the doors and fight. But that's taken me years to learn as well, and I'm still guilty of it now. But
we all are, and we all because when we go for our own kind of healing and we're like, wow, I want to tell everyone, I want to heal everyone with that, and then people are like, no. Just yeah.
But I do think that was interesting then, that people, when they're ready, will find you. I mean, when I was ready, I found Christian. When I was ready, all these radiators came into my life to help me. So I do feel that the people will see this film, people will see this summit. It'll be up on YouTube, and it might take another 6 months until somebody goes, oh, what's this? This looks quite interesting. Oh, that's what I need. You know, it's all to do this divine timing. I mean, oh my God. And having patience. Actually, that's quite shocking. The amount of patience that you need for all of this, because it doesn't happen like that. Oh my goodness, it doesn't. It's hard work in a lot of ways, and you have to rest in between. It's like very cyclical. Make a sort of level up, or something changes, and then there's a period of rest while you sort of get used to it all. And then when you're ready, when you're revived enough, I guess, and overflowing, you then move another step, something else happens. So it's a real process, a real marathon. And maybe that's why people don't want to do this, because, you know, it does require patience. I remember thinking, oh, it'll just be a few months till I'm healed, you know. It was years, but but I was, there are ways to sort of quicken up the process. I learned all the things that you shouldn't do. But
totally. And I mean, you wouldn't know what to do unless you know what not to do. So that's really the way to go, isn't it? So, but I've definitely seen that and experienced that for myself, and then just watching other people. It just works in cycles, isn't it? And there's some moments and periods in which you're not really thinking about it at all. You're kind of getting on with your life, but then something will hit you and something will happen, and especially like with this year with COVID and everything, and then it just takes you straight back to this initial like grief and experience, and how did I deal with it again, and just, but it's definitely patience, such a key word. And I haven't mastered it yet, but still working on that. But for sure, patience.
That's pretty shocking, actually. What you said, what shocked me about it was like the time it takes. But it's all when you're ready, you know, when you're ready, it's it's a gentle process, really. I've found it to be a gentle process when I've allowed it to happen. If you fight against things and go, I'm not going to do that.
Or if you force things.
It just takes longer and longer the more you fight it and resist. So you might as well just surrender and allow it to happen.
Yeah, totally. And I think in general, from people that I've heard communicating with, with the spirit world, and they kind of say, in the spirit world, there's no time and space, so everything happens within an instance. But in the physical world, because everything is so dense and just everything has to take so long to process into. So kind of that's how I see it. I know I asked you previously if anyone wants to come through, if they had a message. Do you still want to check, or is that something? Are they quite was more private?
I mean, if people are watching this film and they are feeling a tap on the shoulder or heat in the back or chills or something, like that's a sign to come on in. But I'm not here to give messages. It seems like I'm not here to give anything out now, so it's
no, and it's so interesting in the videos how he comes through and how the spirits come through and kind of just give their messages, and you can really see the difference between kind of what you're saying and what they're saying. It just sounds completely different. So it's interesting to see that in just one person, for just this one person. So really incredible, and you can obviously to see your own progress in receiving the messages a lot easier, a lot clearer, and you kind of allowing yourself easier and easier to get into that space of just channeling. So it's interesting how it works. It was pretty frightening the first
the first one of the, I think I've labeled them retracing or returning to Africa or something. The first one is, I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. So I come back out of the situation I was in. And then I was like, okay, now I have to do this. And I was very aware, interestingly, that I had to do the journey to find out what happened to Christian, because I didn't want my son particularly to have to go out and find out what happened to his uncle. Certainly Mungo Park, who was the guy that the explorer that Christian was following in the footsteps of, his son went out to find out what happened to him, and he also died. So like there's a long history of, and it happens in a lot of sort of missing people and adventurers and in that kind of way, because it's a romantic character. Christian's quite a romantic character now. So
adventurous.
I almost had to squash that certainly in my son, that he doesn't have to go to Africa to find out what happened to Uncle Christian. We don't need this story carrying on and harming more people, and it was almost like it has to stop now. And that was the biggest sort of carrot, I guess, to me doing the journey with Christian, and in fact probably doing all of this. The minute my kids started to notice that I was upset, I remember walking once in Brighton, not far from where I live, and seeing the young kids, homeless kids on the street, and I was just like bursting into tears the whole time. And it got to the point, and the kids were going, "Mum, what's wrong?" And I thought, shit, I've got to do something about this. I really have to start healing myself, because I'm going to affect my children. Everything I do, it's my responsibility to heal, because how I heal and how I deal with my grief and death in general, they're going to pass on to their children. It's like, it's up to you, Hannah. Stop being the victim here. You need to sort yourself out. And that was like the biggest carrot for all of this is the kids, and that this stops now.
This stops with this story for sure. That's
and that's my son just at the window, actually sticking his tongue out.
Speaking of which, wow, that's no, it's really incredible, and I'm sure it goes way beyond your family as well, isn't it? Because so many people are inspired by this story and will be kind of using it as a way to heal themselves and or just, I guess, just be careful of how they approach this thing of like the afterlife, and wanting to be a bit more open to this and explore with themselves.
We've just talking about that, we're going to start it's kind of like come a bit out of the blue, but we're going to be doing a radio show for 6 months.
You mentioned, that's
and also turn it into a podcast. And I'm writing a book as well. So, and the book actually has changed from being a very personal story to actually a more collective story, as in how you can use our experiences to, it does feel a lot more on a sort of
bigger scale. It's
a bigger scale, that this really needs to be. There's a much bigger picture than our story, but our story kind of anchors it. So we're going to be doing a lot more chatting and exploring the story, and other people can kind of come along with us too.
Follow the journey. Oh, that would be incredible. Where would that be aired? Which radio show?
Oh, it's in America. I think it's Transformation Talk Radio, and we're going to take on a show. I can't give you an exact date yet, because it's all in the early stages. But it seems like the thing to do next. Definitely cool to on a bigger scale.
Continue to share the message, for sure. Well, that's incredible. Well, you've already done. I mean, you've already written a book with Christian, Lost and Found, and you've done the videos, which are again people can find on YouTube to watch, and just so inspiring, so authentic. And I can imagine people who are going through grief, that will be they'll find this so comforting, because just having someone else validate what you're feeling is so always just so helpful. So yeah, definitely recommend for people to watch that. Are there any last words or piece of advice that you want to give to anyone watching?
I guess be brave. Like if you're being called to heal an old grief, know that you can do it. Everything you have is within you to be able to do this. You know, if you're being called to do this work, you can do it. And it might be that you're worried about, I mean, God, there are so many resistances that we have. But it's just like, allow this to happen. It will be the best thing. It really will be the best thing. You know, and I'm always around. There's always, if you ask for help, the right help will come to you. You know, just put it out there. You know, ask. I really want to heal. I want to transform my life. Please help me, and things will come into your life. It might be, yeah, I've got no idea. It's just be open to help that comes. Grab the hands that come towards you. You can do it.
Yeah, really well said. And yeah, just to remember that we always have that support, isn't it, on the other side. We're always supported from so many ancestors, spirits, guides, angels. It's just, yeah, it's like
and
a whole,
you know, you've got your higher self as well. You've got your soul self calling you forward as well. You know, there's a whole support, there's a whole life raft out there. You just need to open your eyes and grab it.
Yeah,
really use it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we just have we have a comment from Laura Gardner saying, it's so inspiring that you have reached this point after so long of feeling stuck. I have no doubt it gives so much hope to others who are currently feeling stuck. Yeah, yes, completely true.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Yeah, we have no questions as yet, but I think people are just, again, I think people are normally so shocked by the stories that they hear, especially in these sort of interviews. They're still kind of processing everything. But guys, for those of you watching afterwards, feel free to reach Hannah if you want to just get in touch with her or be part of her online grief community, which is absolutely incredible, which is created with her brother Christian. You can get in touch with her on her www.hannahvelten.online, and also she can be found on Facebook, Hannah Velten, and Instagram, Hannah Velten, and of course she has her YouTube channel where you can watch her progress and all of the videos that she's recorded from 2018 of her reconnecting with her brother in spirit and going through the whole journey of them working together and healing their own grief. So again, definitely worth exploring, and please do pass it on to anyone that you think might find this information helpful. Hannah, thank you so much. It's been such an honor to have you and such a pleasure. And yeah, I hope we do more of these, because this definitely deserves just more shares, more people knowing about this, your story. So yeah, thank you so much for being such a light for so many people and helping. And I know I've been helped so much through just hearing your story and reading about it. And I know so many more people have, and the one-to-ones that you do with people as well. So it's incredible. Thank you so much.
Oh, Lizzie, that's really that's very lovely. Thank you very much. I'm glad, you know, I'm just glad our experiences can be used now as a, you know, it's the kind of purpose of it all. So I'm really glad. Thank you so much for inviting me and for those lovely words. That's really very moving. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm sure Christian is there also, you know, clapping.
So. Funny, he's here. He's always here now. He just sits in front. So I'm sure. Yeah, it's strange. He's not being his normal vocal self, but maybe I'm in the limelight now. He's like taken a step back a bit. So.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely, and probably now that he's probably quite busy with everything else that he has.
But I mean, I'm sure he'll come out in the radio shows, and when we'll explore our story a bit more. It's yeah, I'm sure that will happen.
Yes.
Okay.
Amazing again. Yeah, thank you guys for watching and for tuning in. Please do share this video with, again, yes, just sometimes the simplest of things can make the biggest difference to someone. So please do remember that. And again, all the details of how you can reach Hannah are in the description below of this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in an hour for my last interview for this Life After Death Summit. So I hope you can join me then. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.